Because I always see with patients, you're a cough patient or you're a sore throat patient or you're a sinus patient. You're one of them. Heparin sulf is a great remedy. It's kind of known as the homeopathic antibiotic. But have you ever had trauma response where you feel like there's a lump? Like you're constantly swallowing. There's a lump in the throat. That's ignatia.
Julia, what I'm seeing lots at the moment in consults is people with a lot of sore throats. What are the go-to homeopathic remedies for you for sore throats?
Okay, so there are 5 remedies that you can have in the home, and you might choose like one of them or 2 of them, or your symptom picture can look like all 5. So with homeopathy, if you've never used homeopathy or you're new to it, sometimes it's good to have a reminder that homeopathy is based on your symptoms and not your signs. So obviously a sign of a sore throat is it's pain and it's red. Sometimes it might be white spots. That can be bacterial or viral. That's good to know exactly which one you're treating as well. And I'll go that for remedy reaction at the end. So they're not the signs that we want. We're looking for symptoms. So how does it feel? Is there a certain sensation in your throat that distinguishes the pain? Is it better for eating, for drinking, for hot foods, for cold foods? These are the type of symptoms that you want to note when you're treating a sore throat. So that's the first thing you're going to do. You also want to know if there's mucus. You want to know if there's a smell. So these are all going to help you go through the remedies that I would recommend to have in the home. Because I always see with patients, you're a cough patient or you're a sore throat patient or you're a sinus patient. You're one of them. You go into one of them. So the first remedy that I would have on hand, the first remedy I'd always try, even through text for patients, is heparin sulf. Heparin sulf is a great remedy. It's kind of known as the homeopathic antibiotic because, and I will talk about mucus, it has this thick, sticky, green, yellow mucus. Now that's usually at the end when you've let this linger for too long. We never let any symptoms linger for too long with homeopathy. But the predominant symptom for heparin sulf is it's predominantly right-sided, and it will feel like there's a bone. Have you ever had that when you're swallowing? It feels there's a bone. That is heparin sulf. That's the first one that I would go through. The second one, because the sides in homeopathy are really good, like is it left-sided if it's a right-sided? So if it's left-sided, it's lachesis. So lachesis feel really tight in their throat. Like it feels like everything is swollen. They don't like hot drinks. Funnily enough, even though I have a sore throat, it's okay to eat. You know, think with sore throats going, I can't eat, I can't swallow anything. Lachesis is fine. But they don't like hot drinks. And is predominantly left-hand sided. Usually the voice goes as well, I would say. And there might be an emotional trigger to it, but it's not the main emotional trigger remedy. The next one for emotions would be ignatia. So it's not, you look at the symptom picture in homeopathic books for ignatia, it's predominantly an emotional, a trauma response. But have you ever had trauma response where you feel like there's a lump? Like you're constantly swallowing. There's a lump in the throat. That's ignatia. So what I would see sometimes with patients is that the constant swallowing to get rid of that tight sensation triggers a sore throat. So that would be those ones. The next one I would put in the last 2, I would put mercury. Now there's loads of types if you're looking for mercury in a homeopathic pharmacy, there's loads of types. There's individual ones for the throat, but if you want the essential ones, you just want the overall Merc Sol or Merc Viv, these 2. And mercury is the typical, what I would call a strep throat remedy. So there's white spots, there's a smell in the mouth, there's this lingering, that's called tenacious mucus, but it's just like it won't go away. Do you know that constant in the back of your throat? That's mercury. The final one is phytolacca. Now, phytolacca can look similar to, I would say, heparin sulf and lachesis. That's what I would see in practice, the symptoms. But what it would be is there'd be glands involved. Now, sometimes you said patients, my glands are up, but their glands wouldn't you couldn't see it or you couldn't feel it, but they feel it, and that's their sensation, and that is phytolacca. So they're the top 5 remedies I would have in the home if there is a tendency to sore throats. But you also want to know if you're giving the remedy, like when do you know it's working? Because I think everyone with homeopathy, you've looked at that, you're expecting the 15-minute cure going this, and you've heard stories of I've given a remedy and it just went. It can happen, but again, there can be a process, and this is the methodology that I would use, is that you want to go from the inflammation for the bite to cleanse out through mucus. It should flow naturally. The mucus should be thin and clear. Doesn't always happen, but then you have heparin sulf. So to know that the remedy is working is generally you would just feel, overall, you'd feel a bit more relaxed. You'd feel a bit more not uptight about this. This is very kind of, it is quite tangible when you feel it, but overall you just feel more relaxed where you feel the symptoms, so in your throat. Overall, if there's inflamed, it will go into mucus. So it'll be thin mucus, you'll be able to cough it out. And then over progressively 2-3 days, the sore throat will ease. But your predominant symptom is in like aversion to drinking or eating. That should resolve within a few hours.
Okay.
And if you're taking a remedy and that isn't resolving with 2 or 3 hours, you go back to that symptom picture.
Yes.
Okay, what is it that it's also like? I tried that one instead.
Exactly. When I see with patients, they're usually going on signs. So, for example, a patient would come to me and they're like, I'm prescribing on the white spots. And again, so that if it's white spots, you don't know if it's viral or bacterial. That just tells you how long you need to go to treat the remedy. So virals can resolve quicker than a bacterial infection. But they will go on the white spots, and I will say that's a sign, that's not a symptom. So take another step back and look at the overall picture of the patient.
Mm-hmm. And so what about if people have like more chronic, sinus congestion, rhinitis, like allergy stuff that can probably conflict the picture a little bit? Like, what do you do there? Are there poor people, let's say, with sinus rhinitis, like some sort of like, allergy that's nasal or whatever, congestion is already there? What sort of things do you do? Or are there differences then?
I just start with Hep Sulf.
Okay.
6 years of homeopathic training. No, it's basically if it's a new patient, like what are your symptoms of your allergies and what's the symptoms of the new sore throat. So it's sometimes patients kind of like, I don't know the difference yet because you're educating them. But I'm like, right, what are the symptoms that just started in the last few days? And that's what you prescribe on. So if, for example, you have a mucousy patient and like, oh my God, the mucus is there's so much mucus, and like, there always is. So you don't really prescribe on that.
Okay, so you're starting with the acute. You treat the acute first. And just to say, is this a picture that's the same for men and women and also kids, or is it different?
I think you see it clearer in kids. A lot clearer. You'd see it then next up in women, and then men you'd never see it because I just wouldn't talk to you. And then I give Hep Sulf. Oh yeah, Hep Sulf was a great remedy because you feel miserable. Like everyone's and they're just a misery guts to be around when they're ill. Hep Sulf and on Juju Spoon. Must have been a bad connection. That's what it was.
Yeah, that must have been. But so if people want to find more out about homeopathy or your practice specifically, where can they go?
You can go to my website, juliaedgley.com, and I have an explanation in there. What is homeopathy if you're really new to it, and the certain essentials that you can find in the home.
Magic. Thank you.
My pleasure.